Members of this court, good morning once again. If it may please this court, on behalf of the respondent, we would like to submit two submissions before this honorable court. One, whether or not the Anti-Terrorism Act should be repealed, given that the definitions of terrorism and terrorist group are operative and legal definitions. And two, whether or not the Act constitutes an invalid or abusive exercise of police power by the state. If there are no preliminary observations, I shall now proceed to my submission. Thank you, Your Excellencies. On my first submission, on whether or not the Anti-Terrorism Act should be repealed, given that the definitions of terrorism and terrorist groups are operative and legal definitions. Your Excellencies, this submission is of vital importance. Terrorism poses a grave and imminent threat not only to the sovereignty of the state, but to the citizens of the Philippines, which are of paramount interest of the state. The Act constitutes operative and legal definitions of terrorism and terrorist groups. Although the definition of terrorism continues to be refined and fine-tuned, the internationally accepted definition of terrorism is encompassed in the United Nations Academic Consensus Definition, and I quote, "Terrorism is an anxiety-inspiring method of repeated violent action employed for political, criminal, or religious reasons, employed by clandestine individuals, groups, or state actors, whereby the direct targets of violence are not the main targets. The immediate victims of violence are generally chosen randomly or selectively from a targeted population, and they serve as message generators. Threat and violence-based communication processes between the terrorists, the victims, and the main targets are used to manipulate the main targets to be targets of terror, targets of demand, and targets of attention, depending on whether intimidation, coercion, or propaganda is primarily sought. This definition has been used as the same definition by member nations in making their own measures against terrorism.
So is our definition consistent with the universally accepted definition?
Yes, Your Excellency. Because three prevalent and generally accepted elements of terrorism are encompassed in these definitions, both in this academic consensus definition and in foreign laws, which are violence, coercion, and objective. And these three elements are actually prevalent in Section 3 of the Act, which defines terrorism.
Is there a treaty which defines terrorism, to which we are a signatory?
Your Excellency, there is no formal treaty yet, but there are resolutions and declarations by the United Nations, which was unanimously ratified by the member states, and this includes the Philippines.
How will we bound by such resolution?
Giving such consent to such resolutions and declarations, it is the obligation of the Philippines to comply with this condition. In the same way, as I mentioned, the state used this definition in defining terrorism and terrorist groups in the Anti-Terrorism Act of 2006. The definition of terrorism is found in Section 3 of the Act, while terrorist groups is to be found, the definition of terrorist groups is to be found in Section 17. Prominent in Section 3, as I mentioned before, are the three elements of terrorism, which are violence, coercion, and objective. In the formulation of the Act, the legislature limited the application of the Act to specific violent activities which are in consonance or similar to the European Union Council Framework Decision. Assassination, hostage-taking, hijacking of land, sea, or air transportation, and bombing are examples of these violent activities. The legislature also specified that these violent activities should be used to advance, propagate, or promote a religious or political belief.
Isn't that definition vague?
Pardon, Your
Isn't that
Excellency?
definition vague? Section 3 of the ADA.
No, Your Excellency. Because the legislature actually specified in the act that these violent acts should be used to advance, propagate, promote a religious or political belief, or to sow or create a condition of extraordinary or widespread fear, anxiety, or panic among the populace to coerce the government to give in to a given demand.
So how can you say that there is an intent to sow fear? What are the circumstances that would be found in this book which would say that there is an intent to sow fear?
Your Excellency, thank you for your concern. But if to prove the intent to sow fear or extraordinary anxiety or panic would be proved in the judicial proceedings that would be filed against the accused. This can be proved by evidence that may be gathered by authorities against the accused. Thank you, Your Excellency. As I mentioned, this legislature specified that the act should be used to create, as I mentioned, that there is a purpose with the acts, that the legislature definitely specified the purpose of the acts for one to be accused of terrorism.
When can you say that an act is for the purpose of sowing? When can you say that an act is done for the purpose of sowing?
Your Excellency, let's go back to the generally accepted definition of terrorism, wherein the victims are not the main targets, but they are used as message generators to incite violence, to incite terror on the populace, to coerce the main target to give in.
So if a person throws a bomb, for example, there's an event, throws a bomb, how would you characterize such act?
It depends on the circumstances, Your Excellency. For example, if the bomb was thrown into an event and the perpetrator of such act really wanted just to incite terror or violence among the populace, then it can be qualified as terrorism. But if it just throws the bomb just to kill the people, then it can probably be indicted for complex crime of murder or homicide.
But isn't the fact of intending to kill inherent in the element of sowing fear?
It may be inherent, but there is something more than that intent to kill. There is the intent to incite terror and violence and to sow fear among the populace.
So you're saying that the effects in this case is lasting because you don't only intend to kill those people, but you want to affect also those people who are not affected by that crime.
Yes, Your Excellency.
There's a question. What's the difference between intent and motive?
Intent is the motive, is the moving power for a perpetrator to do an act. Intent is basically the reason why you're doing that.
And isn't in section 3, it doesn't require the intent, right? But it only requires the motive to sow fear.
Or the
Right? In section 3 of the ATA, intent is not the element, but it is motive, which is required. Am I correct?
They're both needed.
Can you please tell me what is section 3?
Section 3 defines terrorism, Your Honor.
Yes, can you tell me what is section? What does it provide?
Section 3, in a nutshell, means that terrorism is the use of acts of violence to coerce the government to give in to a certain demand. Use of acts to propagate, advance, and promote a religious or political belief, or to sow and create a condition of extraordinary fear, anxiety, or panic.
Just a question.
Yes.
What are the elements